we go. I'm happy with that. I'll put thread sealant on it for sure, but there you have it. Got a nice sensor. Alright guys, we are making progress on the GL650 here, and getting into the wiring, I need to start thinking about how to incorporate different sensors and things that are going to be changed from their original design. So here we have the thermostat housing. I have this off, just cleaning it, replacing all the O-rings, blah blah blah. And as you know, we're using a Trailtech Vapor, which usually uses a 22mm adapter. This is going to go typically inside your radiator hose. The kit that I usually buy for these bikes is the GL500 one, oddly enough. I have one back there, which just uses the 22mm, but you can I think you can get these in a variety of options. But anyway, on the upper radiator hose of the GL650, it gets a little bit tight being a straight shot, and it can be a little tricky to try to fit this in here. And then that also means that you have to cut your radiator hose, have two clamps, and that just adds, to me, another potential fail point or leak point. Not that this is bad by any means. I mean, it's a quality part, but I think there's a simpler way to do it. And if you guys watch the CX500 build series, when I got to the cooling system, you notice that I used the stock coolant temp sensor. I modified it. I cut the top off, cut the bottom off, leaving me with a nice M16 by 1.5 thread here that I can adapt, that threads in as normal. That's where it came from. And I can tap it to 1/8 inch NPT or 1/827 NPT, and then I can have the aftermarket Trailtech gauge sensor within the factory location. So the bike doesn't know it has any kind of modification. So we're going to move forward. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I modify this to make it work with the new sensor. Alright, the first order of business is to go ahead and get as much cut off of this as possible. The sensor's not that long, so I need to try to trim off the back end here, and of course as tight as I can get it up here. So, get this started. Alright, so we have our two ends. Then we have the body of the sensor itself. So get this thing taken apart. And you can see I can tap that for 1/8 inch NPT. So we just got to worry about kind of cleaning up the top section here, which is going to be a little bit tricky. Alright, so I've taken this just to my belt sander, kind of cleaned up the edges here, cleaned up the bottom. This little phenolic piece, this should just pop right out, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab a screwdriver. Yep. Center pops out, and we'll just kind of work the rest of it loose here. There we go. All right. Getting close. Alright, so we've got our 1/8 inch NPT tap, matches up with the sensor. Definitely want to double check that. Give this thing a little bit of oil to help tap along. Slowly but surely. Now, being NPT, this is actually tapered, so you have to test fit numerous times to make sure you have that fitment right. Because in this case, the height, because the sensor is so short, I want to make sure that this thing extends as far as possible. So like I could just tap it a little bit and it'd be sticking up here, but I want to make sure it's down as far as possible. So we're going to go pretty far on this. And if you don't want to do this, you can simply buy an M16 by 1.5 to 1/8 inch NPT adapter, and you're good to go. Now I could actually stand to go ahead and drill out the bottom of this, so that's what I'm going to do. That way we can sink this in there a little further, because as of right now, that's not going to thread in all the way. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the hole here, and that'll allow me to run the tap in farther. Alright, now this is an 11/32 bit. Just going to run it down real quick. Yep, and now we can recut threads. There we go. I'm happy with that. I'll put thread sealant on it for sure, but there you have it. Got a nice sensor. Alright, so this part's not necessarily required, but we're just going to do it anyway. Just opening up the hole at the bottom just to allow more coolant to circulate around the sensor tip there. Alright, one last little mod I did to this thing. I did go in through the top here, used a 9/16 bit just to allow the hexagonal portion of the sensor to kind of clear it and not interfere, so I can make sure I can get that thing really tight. So anyway, put this thing together. Now obviously on final assembly this will have thread sealant on it, and then you'd snug it down a little bit farther than that, but yeah, got a little bit of gap around there so the threads, you know, so the flats and the corners, they don't hit each other. And then obviously being opened up down there, I have a nice gap, so enough for the coolant flow. Threads into the stock location there. And we're on our way. So no need for this thing. I can use this on another bike if I wish. And there you have it. Simple. No major tools required. If you got a drill, you can do this. It's not a big deal. Drill and a tap, you can make it happen. So there you have it.